The following has been pulled from the Urban Legend Files. Subject: Mothman.
The date is November 12th, 1966. The location is Clendenin, West Virginia. A few men spot a dark, shadowy person standing in the distance. Then suddenly, it lifts off the ground and flies over their heads. The creature is described as bird-like, but definitely humanoid as well. Little did they know, they had just experienced a creature that would over the next few months impact the whole area and later a whole nation. They had seen the Mothman. 3 days later, two couples were treading the TNT area of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they themselves encountered a huge man with bright red eyes and closed wings. Frightened, the four began to flee, but was promptly chased by the being after it leapt into the air with its wings spread wide. As their car sped at nearly 100 miles per hour, the creature kept pace. That same night, another man, 90 miles from Point Pleasant, was watching television when it suddenly went black. The TV flooded with, as he described, a strange pattern, and a whining noise emanated. Then his dog began to howl. When he went outside, he spotted two large, shimmering, bright red eyes. His dog took off after the creature, and when he went back inside to get his gun, it was gone, and so was his dog, who never returned. There were a number of other sightings of a strange bird-like creature that same night, one of which even stated having seen the body of a dog lying on the side of the road, and on their way back, the body was gone. In the following months, Mothman seemed to stay around the TNT area of Point Pleasant. One woman even had to be treated for anxiety after a big man with glowing eyes seemed to rise from the ground before her. Mothman became a topic of interest in the Virginian area, to the point that local newspapers wrote about the events and monster hunters arrived to investigate. However, things got weirder. Lights began to appear in the sky, causing a rise in local UFO sightings. Some even reported the presence of the ever-controversial Men in Black. Cars would stall near the TNT plant. Houses nearby even seemed to suddenly be plagued by poltergeist and ghostly activity. Over the course of the year, Mothman and the occurrences surrounding him continued until one fateful day. The date? December 17, 1967. The location? Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It was in rush hour traffic, and the cars were stopped across the Silver Bridge, which gapped the small Virginian town in Ohio over the Ohio River, when suddenly it collapsed, crashing into the water. Dozens of vehicles plummeted with it, killing 46 people. There was no more Mothman reports from Point Pleasant or the surrounding areas from that day on. Mothman had vanished. It was then that people began to wonder what the creature was. Some believed he was responsible for the tragedy, but it was discovered that it truly was due to the failure of a single eye bar. It was not meant to hold that much weight, nor had it been properly maintained. So then, the speculation turned. Perhaps he was there to warn them of the imminent bridge collapse. Maybe he was trying to save them. Mothman became a herald of disaster. In the years following, appearances of Mothman have been reported in several other places. Some reports have surfaced recently saying that in the 80s, there were reports of a dark-winged figure plaguing the area around the Chernobyl nuclear plant before the nuclear meltdown. The creature was dubbed the Black Bird of Chernobyl and is believed to be the same Mothman of Point Pleasant. However, this is believed to be a fake story created by someone on the internet. Another report of the Mothman took place in Freiburg, Germany, when a creature fitting his description visited a local mine. This time his warnings were heeded, and a group of miners were saved from a collapse after being scared away by the Mothman. A more recent sighting took place on September 11th, 2001 in New York City near the World Trade Center, when a photo was snapped of a winged creature flying through the New York skyline. Though there were no news reports on this photo, the supernatural community exploded around it. It clearly fits all description of the Mothman, including the fact that he does not have a defined head. As you can see, the top of it is flattened off. It is rather convincing, and I do not see any proof of Photoshop. However, it is still possible considering it is actually placed so far away. Considering Mothman's supposed link to UFOs, it may go along with some people's supposed sightings of glimmering lights during the 9/11 terrorist attack. So what is the Mothman? There are a few explanations. Under the supernatural category, there are first the Thunderbirds, which were old Native American stories that surrounded the Point Pleasant area. Angels are another theory, considering that Mothman seems to warn of danger and appears docile to most people. Finally, some say aliens. Considering the strange UFO sightings and Men in Black appearances that happened around the same time as the original Mothman sightings, it is a plausible theory. Under the skeptical side, there are also a number of possibilities. First off, some believe it is possible it was a barn owl. Barn owls have huge wingspans with flat heads and large eyes that glow red when lights hit them. Another skeptical explanation is that it was just a trick of vision. Coupled with the barn owl theory, this is plausible, especially since barn owls aren't 7 feet tall with a human body. And lastly, it could have just been all a hoax. Perhaps it was just a man dressed up in a bird costume, scaring people into false witness and then later writing about it in a twisted and untruthful way to make it sound more fantastical than it truly was. Finally, there is one other stranger explanation. Since the area Mothman was known to tread was an old World War II area, it is possible that some strange chemicals were deposited there. Maybe a sandhill crane that, as it is, stands as tall as a man with a huge wingspan got contaminated and mutated into some kind of superbird. Then maybe his superpower was predicting the future, so he flew around trying to warn people of the danger. As cool as that sounds, that is more far-fetched than the supernatural explanations. None of this can be proved. Mothman is an uncertain entity plaguing a world of uncertainty. He is another dark figure that dots the world of the supernatural. Though he cannot be explained, there's one thing that can be expected after a visit from the Mothman, and that is disaster. If his warnings are heeded, then perhaps lives can be saved.